You won't believe the lesson that I almost had to learn the hard way. This is a lesson that I'll talk about later in the pod that almost cost me $20,000 in damages. Loyalty back with you. Just another DJ podcast. How is everybody doing? Episode 5. We're here. Ladies and gentlemen, 700 subs. Didn't ever think that I was going to get here. But here we are. We're on our ascent. We're on our way up. Hopefully going to get there to 1,000 subs in the near future. Shouts out to everybody that views this. If you're new to the channel, like, subscribe, become a member. I'm so excited. But here we go. How's everybody doing today? So glad to have you guys back. Like I said, episode 5. Here we go. We made it to half of 10. Episode 5. Not sure it's a big episode, but I'm starting to find my way in this. I'm going to be honest, when I looked up podcasts before I started mine, a lot of podcasts die because they don't have any direction. I ain't going to lie. I'm still trying to find my direction. I've been watching the GOATs. I've been watching some of the newer guys. I've been watching guys in the DJ community that I'll talk about here in a little bit. But I think I'm starting to find my way. I don't know. You guys drop something in the comments. Let me know. Do I still suck? I probably still suck. But yeah, 700 subs. We're making our climb. Not solely because of this podcast, but my other videos that are on the channel. But a question that I was pondering, this is downtime for me in Central Florida. My last gig was on the 13th of June. I don't pick up the back half of my season. I think I only have 8 gigs on the book starting either September 6th or 7th. I can't remember the date off the top of my head. I should probably know that. But is this downtime for everybody right now? If this is peak season for you, where are you? I'd have to imagine in the north somewhere because it seems to be a little bit cooler up there, which I don't completely agree with. I used to live in Chicago for about almost 5 years, and the summers were brutal up there just like they are in Central Florida. Maybe not the humidity, but they were brutal up there. We had 100-degree summers all the time when I was up in Chicago. But where's peak season? Where are you guys at? I know I've had a few people hit me up in the comments on some of my videos from Brazil, places over in the UK. So where are you guys at? Now, obviously, Brazil, probably not cool where that's at. But I'm curious, are you guys in Greenland? Do we got any Greenland watchers out there? Who knows? Probably. But how's your guys' week going? How's it been over this summer? How's your summer break? I know for me, it's been pretty good week. I would say I booked 2 gigs over this past week. Pretty great. I don't have a lot of 2 booking gig weeks since I've been doing this. Like I said, I'm fairly new. I haven't even hit 2 years yet. So, but I've had 1 3 booking gig week. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. But I almost had 3 gigs booked this week, which I'll get into. But yeah, I booked 2 gigs. So I got 1 lead off the knot, ended up booking them for 2027. And then I got 1 off my website. Now, if you have a website and you get traction to your website, you know how great that is when you see a lead come in. I wouldn't say that I get a lead every week from my website, but I get one occasionally. Every couple weeks I'll get a lead, but I got 2 leads over this last week. And I'll just tell you, if a lead's going to hit my website, it's better than 95% that I'm booking with them. It's better. And it's not... If they seek you out, especially my website, I don't know if I'm just not paying for enough marketing or whatnot. It's pretty low on the totem pole for Google. And I've been trying to do everything outside of paying for marketing. I've been trying to post on there frequently with some of my videos and stuff like that. I got, I think, over 30 or so 5-star reviews. I don't know how that works, but what I'm getting at is if I ever get those inquiries through my website, it's probably better than 95% that I'm booking that person. Now, I did book 1 of the 2, and I would have booked the second one, but I actually turned them down, which I'll explain in a minute. But the cool thing about booking the lead that I got through my website is once they got the contract and they got the initial invoice and everything like that, she sends me a text and she's like, hey, some of my coworkers are getting married next year too. I gave them your information. Now, I was like, heck yeah, one hand feeds the other. And I told them immediately something that I love to do is I love to give not fees, referral, I guess, gift cards. So meaning if a client or couple come to me and they say, hey, person X, Y, and Z sent me your way, then I'll send them a gift card as a token of my appreciation for sending me that business. But that's only if I book them. If I book them, I take a proceed of that. I send it over there as a gift card. And yeah. And then I somehow have a marketing tracking sheet. That way I can tie it into taxes later on, but who knows? Maybe I just incriminated myself. But yeah, booked 2 gigs, both for 2027 this week, one from the Knot, one from my website. Now, could have booked 3. The person hit me up. It was for a corporate gig. I won't talk about for what, but the location, initially she wanted music. It was about 3 hours, but a lot of announcements. And I said, absolutely. I sent her over the quote. Everything seemed pretty good. I think the initial quote that I sent her, because I wasn't really DJing, they just wanted underlying music so everybody could talk over. She's like, we don't even really want DJing. We just want music played under. There's no dancing, nothing like that. I think I sent her a quote for about $1,300. I can't remember if it might have been $1,250, $1,300. And she came back to me. She's like, I got it. She loved it. I got her on the phone as soon as she submitted to my website. And she came back to me. And she was like, well, we don't want any music. There's going to be absolutely no music. We just want somebody to bring a speaker and a microphone and to make announcements 6 times over the course of 3 hours. And then you're just going to stand around. And I was like, well, I sent her back and I said, okay, my quote is going to be $850. I come down off that a little bit. And mind you, this gets into the undercutting thing. I have no idea what other DJs or other people's rates are around me. I have a pretty good idea. I don't think the average DJ for 3 hours is charging all the way up to $1,250 around me. I think a lot of them around like the 5s and 6 area. So I knew when I sent that quote, she could probably go find somebody. Is she going to get a better quality or a better person? That's to be debated. I am biased in myself, but it's to be debated. Anyways, gave her an $850 quote. She went back, or I think she told me right away, well, my budget's between, $500 and $650. And there's that moment, right? And I think that a lot of these people don't understand, sure, your equipment, it's expensive, but you should be compensated for your time too. So I think this was for the end of July. I have no gigs going on. You just heard me. My last gig was the 13th of June. My next gig isn't until the 6th or 7th of September. I could have easily did it. I'm just sitting around. Could have been some content. But I thought it was important to turn that one down. And the biggest thing is I didn't want to devalue myself. Now, I know that a lot of people in the comments are going to say, well, you take those ones, you build that into other ones, you get your information out there. All right. I didn't start DJing yesterday. I started DJing 28 years ago, okay? And since I have been home from retiring from the Air Force and been in this area working for about almost 2 years with my business, Agent B Entertainment, I've done a few of those. I wouldn't say pro bono. I don't think I've done a free gig yet that I can remember, but I've discounted some gigs. And I was hoping that it would yield some type of return, and 99% of the time, it doesn't. In fact, my entire career, I don't remember very many times where I did something for free or at a significant discount and it yields multiple business back to back. Now, usually it'll yield business from that client all the time, and they'll pay your full rate the next time. But as far as other people, and let me tell you why. Say you do that gig for $650, or say that you do a free gig. All the people that are there They either get your social media, get your contact information, or see you. 9 times out of 10, if they do not respond or call you immediately, they're going to forget that they have your contact, that they have any of that stuff. So guess how they're going to get your information? They're going to get a hold of the person that hosted the party and find out, hey, we really liked your DJ. Who was that? And then she or he's going to put them in contact with me. Now, they're also going to ask, if you don't mind me asking, how much did you pay for him? Well, he was free, or he was $100, or he was $650, because now they're having a wedding, or they're having a huge event somewhere. And that's where this comes, because I always get the calls. So I did something right. But then they're like, yo, you cost $2,000 or $2,500? Yeah, I didn't know it was going to be that much. I'm going to have to get back to you. I'm going to have to talk to my spouse. Usually when you get those, you know that you're outside of their price range, which is just fine. But I would say high percentage that is usually what goes on. And I've had a bunch of those this year where I DJ'd for a friend. I gave them the family discount. Usually I charge, but it's significantly lower than what I'm doing. And usually it'll yield 2 or 3 calls, and I just never book with them. And it's not because skills, it's not because of any of that. It's because they called you with an expectation of a price being as low as it was, just to find out. And what probably happens, and I don't know this for sure, is behind the scenes is they probably start figuring out catering, all the other things that go along with that before they even call you. Because I don't know about everybody here, but the grand majority of clients that come through me, I'm usually, meaning not me personally, but the DJ is almost always the last person on their list to call. They're calling the venue, the wedding planner, the caterer, the photographer, then you. And usually they've exhausted most of that budget. So, and I think that planners and coordinators just know where they're at in the pecking order, and then they can just completely charge unreasonable prices, and they can demand that because they're the first ones in that order. I don't know how DJs become the first ones in that order. I know if we all were to have a baseline rate, and go up from there, then maybe that would change some things. But anyways, yeah, so I denied the gig. For me, I'm retired. I'm retired from the Air Force, 23 years, 5 months. I always just say 24 years. 24 years, retired from the United States Air Force. I'm not looking to do 55, 60 gigs a year. It's not what my goal is. My goal is that sweet spot between 30 and 40. And that does 2 things for me. That doesn't have me working my butt off to where this becomes a job. I still love doing this, except for the pack-up part. Don't love that. But I still love doing this for the most part. But the other thing is that with the least amount of gigs, I can invest the most time in both social media and in their event. So that's super important to me. But yeah, just wanted to let you know, 2 gigs through the website. Woohoo, that's pretty good. I don't think that this podcast or any of my content had anything to do with that. But if it did, shouts out to them. And shouts out to you guys. 700 subs is big. But yeah, so that takes me on to the next segment. Gotta have loyalty. So I don't do this often, but I record this on a Tuesday, I edit it, and it comes out the following Thursday. Can't believe that I just released my sauce. It comes out on a Thursday. Why Thursday? Because I notice a lot of DJ podcasts release on Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. So I'm just another DJ podcast. I want you to be like, I ran out of everything to listen to. I got a long drive. I'm going to listen to loyalty, right? I'm sure that that's everybody's plan. When they're building their checklist at home, they're like, loyalty is on the checklist. I'm a big checklist guy, so I know I'm on there. Don't let me down. All right. Anyways, I was listening to another DJ podcast before I started writing the outline for this one. Bad idea. If you ever hear comedians, and you'll ask them about another comedian's set, they'll be like, I don't watch comedians. And you're like, why? Comedians and DJs are almost the same in that way. And the reason being is because they don't want to take somebody's material subconsciously. You know what I mean? So I try not to listen to DJ podcasts. In fact, I noticed since I started getting into content and doing podcasts, I listen and watch far less DJ content than I ever have because subconsciously I don't want to steal other people's stuff. But, one jumped into the old algorithm while I was getting ready and I listened to it. And I'm not going to call them out because that's not what I'm not here to burn down DJs and podcasts. That's not my style. I like lifting up, not burning down. But they said something interesting in it from a different vantage point that I wanted to share with you guys because I thought it was interesting. So the number one thing I would say in our community, period, is pricing. It's because you'll have one guy charge one rate, one guy charge another rate. Often they'll have the same exact gear and maybe even the same skill, maybe a different playlist, and the rates will be opposite ends. And a lot of that comes down to one guy's been in the market for a significant amount of time. He's got a lot of, business running through there. Even if most people are like, he gets the job done, and his price is whatever. And then you got a new guy coming up, just trying to get a look, just trying to go back to what I said in the intro. Just trying to get a look. So he's like, I'm going to charge $500 for a full wedding ceremony, dinner, reception, dancing, whatever. That whole thing, right? Anyways, we call that undercutting. Okay, undercutting is the big thing, right? But when is it not undercutting? Now, I'm going to be honest with you. Like I said in the intro, I'm not sure what most of the people around me's rates are. I keep my pricing on my website. I've been battling with the fact that I might take it down soon, but I keep it on there. So I'm pretty transparent. You don't know, you know what you got. And I'm pretty sure I have a good idea. The high-end guys, what they get, why they get it, and the low-end guys, what they get and why they get it. So, but I wouldn't say that I'm in the middle. I would say that I'm close to the top tier. I'm just not them yet. And I know some of the reasons why, like aesthetics, like DJ furniture, all those things, I'm not able to get that premium pricing yet because I don't fit that image, but I'm getting close. I'm going to make that turn probably in the next year. So you watch, you're growing with me. But anyways, one of these DJs that's on this podcast, I don't know if he's very well known. Maybe he wasn't very well known to me. To the viewers, he might have been. But he demands a pretty penny for doing weddings. Pretty penny. If I had to guess, they never come out and say, I would say upwards to close to like 10 to 15,000 a wedding. Wow. Anyways, they were talking about doing free gigs, just kind of what I alluded to in the intro. And he said he had seen that a person, I don't remember if they were a wedding planner or a venue owner, was recently engaged and going to have a wedding, and he's seen that, so he reached out to that person and basically said, hey, I don't know, I'd like to do your wedding. He knew the person, but they hadn't talked in a long time. I'd like to do your wedding, and I'll do it for free. Now, his motive is the undercutting part. And I'm not making the justification on this. I see why the person's doing it, so I don't really care that much about it. But I more so raised this to see what you guys think, because in the hip-hop community right now, they're battling with the term snitching. There's really no defined definition. What snitching is, everybody has their own definition. Everybody moves the goalposts on snitching. Undercutting, I feel like, is the same way in the DJ community. Everybody moves the goalpost on undercutting. Anyways, so his podcast other host says, why are you doing it? Are you doing it for free because you're friends with him? I don't remember his exact response to that, but it was more so he hadn't been in the venue in a long time, and he was trying to basically get his presence back in there, start getting those, vendor referrals to start booking that venue back. So I'd have to imagine that venue books those high dollar DJs if he's trying to get back in there, because he charges a premium. But I was like, and earlier in the episode, they had talked about cheap DJs because of a clip that they seen on Instagram. But I just thought that was interesting that he did. I'm not sure if he wasn't self-aware to even realize he probably just undercut somebody by taking the free gig just so that he could further his business later on, which is really what undercutting is most of the time. Sometimes undercutting is just for the fact of somebody is so excited to DJ that they will DJ for free or a bar tab. But in this case, he just undercut a $5,000 or $7,000 DJ company to come in and do one for free and then possibly take their business. Now, I understand from his vantage point. I 100% agree with his vantage point with going that route. Do I agree if it happens to me? Well, I'd have no choice. I got to be self-aware. You know what I mean? I got to be accountable for what I'm going to do, that somebody's going to turn around and do it to me. So I'm just curious, how do you guys feel about that situation? Undercutting or not undercutting? So it was just a weird, situation as he was explaining it. And then the first thing that peaked in my mind, and if you listen to episode 4, my brain doesn't work like most people's brain works. Immediately when I hear sentences or phrases, it always goes back to, how can I tie this into my DJ business? But my thoughts were, I understand it. He's trying to get in that venue. I wouldn't necessarily call him an undercutter because his rate is ridiculous. He has to further his business, and sometimes furthering your business, you can't think about the competition. You got to do what's right for your business, and taking a one-off gig or 2 in the course of a year to further your business to earn 45, 50K next year, I understand it. I think it's very smart for him. It's definitely, but I think it sends the wrong message too. So I definitely think it's undercutting. No questions asked. You can't call it undercutting. But I think 2 things can be the same. I think it's doing good business and it's undercutting. That's all I got to say. Now, I have seen where clients have come to me in the past and they're like, Anthony or Loyalty, we really want you to DJ. We can't afford you to pay you your full rate. And I don't want to go pay some other DJ $500. And every once in a while, I will get that request. And this is what I tell them. I say, listen, now, I've never got this for a wedding. So when I say what I'm about to say, it's not for a wedding because I don't feel like I would do what I'm about to say for a wedding. Because I do think to make a successful wedding, reception, ceremony, all those things, you need to have a lot of input from your bride and groom to make it the best day of their life. But anyways, I digress. Here we go. I've got a few people that either having house parties or some type of party, and they're like, we want you so bad. Now, don't get your panties in a wad. These are very few. Not everybody's clamoring for DJ Loyalty. Anyways, but I've got them. I've got them recently. We want you so bad, Loyalty. We don't want to, we can't afford to pay your rate. We can't afford it. And we don't want to pay a lesser DJ. We know what we're going to get. Okay. Here's the deal. I'm going to set up. I'm going to bring X, Y, and Z. You're going to have somebody there that is going to help me set up and tear down. That's the first. Number 2, I don't want to hear nothing about what you got planned for your event. It's my way or the highway. Now, I take that with a grain, right? Like, I'm obviously going to help them out. But, like, I don't want you to be coming to me and saying, yo, Loyalty, I only want you to play X, Y, and Z. Negative, playa. I'm playing how I want to play. Now, I know how to read a room, so I'm not going to come in there for a hip-hop party and play all country. Ain't going to happen. But I want to be able to take risks. I want to do what I want to do, okay? I'm giving you a discount. So if I'm giving you a discount that you're paying, then you're giving me a discount on what I'm playing, okay? I get to play what I want. I get to set the party I want to set, the vibe I want to set. And every time I set those expectations, party goes off. Every time. It's never not hit. Double negative, it's hit. So it always hits. I set the expectations out front. And it's almost like they don't know the music that I'm going to bring, but they know. But because they didn't make those requests and now they're like expecting the song that they request, now it's unexpected when I drop that song that they really like. They're like, oh God, I really like Usher. Yeah. I don't know if he's going to play it. And then I drop Usher. Yeah. And the whole room goes, you know what I'm saying? But anyways, yeah. So every once in a while, I will discount a party. Like I said, that's not happened for me for a wedding. That doesn't mean it won't happen in the future, but I discount a party. But drop in the comments, undercutting, not undercutting. I think two things can be the same. I think it could be pushing the business forward and undercutting. But yeah, so just some tea for you guys, some tea. But something else that I seen over the course of this past week, Jay-Z had 3 concert nights in Yankee Stadium. Ridiculous. I tried to soak up as much of the videos as I could. Just bananas. I mean, to bring Eminem out to Renegade, dope. To bring Rihanna out in the last night, I don't think people have seen Rihanna in a long damn time. So dope. Would have been doper if we would have brought out people like Ye or Drake. Would have been sick. Now, I know that that's not going to happen. He just recently dissed both of them, but still would have been sick. Would have probably set numbers. Would have probably went crazy. But that takes me into something that I've noticed, and that's the state of hip-hop. Now, obviously, everybody has been bitching about where hip-hop is. I hate today's music, whatever. Who cares what your opinions are on today's music? But I think that there's one thing that is a fact on today's music. There are no crossover hits. That doesn't mean hip-hop doesn't go. You have got to be in a hip-hop room for hip-hop to go. Okay? Now, I know that I'm probably going to get dragged in the comments. People are going to say, you're just not playing it right. But, when the days where I could go to a country and pop party, no hip-hop, and drop it like it's hot or something like that, or I almost said shake your tail feather Nelly. That would have been sick. Drop down and get your eagle on. But Shake It Fast by Mystical, probably not a good artist to use. He was just recently sent back to prison. But anyways, what I'm getting at is there's no crossover hits. Even the Drake stuff isn't crossover unless, it's remixed into a tech house remix or some type of progressive house remix. There's just no crossover hits. That's crazy to me. And this goes back to what I was talking about in episode 4. What is it about these artists? Their first album comes out, it looks like they put their emphasis and focus on making bangers. And then album 2, album 3, and it progressively gets worse where they're just like, I'm focusing on the artistry of my craft. And it's like, your artistry is great when I'm in the sauna or I'm walking on the treadmill. It ain't good when I'm at the club and I'm trying to drop banger after banger. Now, sure, there can be remixes and edits. I'm talking about all your classics, and I talked about this in episode 4, are originals. We rarely talk about a classic and it's some remix. You know what I'm saying? So Jay-Z, Night 3, dude has banger after banger, nothing but classics. Very well known for his classics, even though he's taking a lot of beating in the media right now with streamers. But hence the hat. I'm a big Jay-Z fan. Biggie's my all-time favorite. In fact, the first CD I ever owned was Ready to Die. Big Biggie guy. So, but Jay-Z, 3 nights at Yankee Stadium. The videos were dope. I wish hip-hop would get back to that. Change clothes. He just came out to some bangers. Pretty dope show. I wish I would have had the opportunity to go, but yeah, all the way up there. I'm all the way down here, Central Florida. Yeah. Anyways, moving on to my next segment, just another gig log recap. So I seen this Instagram video and it reminded me. Now, I haven't done a gig since 13th of June, but it reminded me. And here it goes. I mean, And this reminds me, now that I'm in Florida, I get so many requests to DJ outside. And this is probably why the majority of my gigs aren't in the summer, because it is so hot. In fact, 2 gigs, back-to-back gigs in May, were both receptions outside. Now, one was underneath like a pavilion. It was a tall concert pavilion where I was on a concrete stage. Pretty dope. But nonetheless, at sunrise, sundown, that sun was coming off the water, just shining right on you the whole time. You know what I mean? And if you've done gigs outside or pool parties, you know what I mean. You're worried about your laptop in that moment. So it was hot. It was hot. The ceremony was outside. The dinner wasn't even underneath an overhang. And I want to say feels like was 96 degrees. I just felt so bad. Not only that, I almost passed out 2 times during the course of that gig. So if you haven't seen the process of a soul, DJ company, you got to set up ceremony, you got to set up cocktail. But the biggest parts, the parts that really get you, you got to break those down in a timely manner once they're over and get them back to your vehicle or wherever your set-aside areas so that gear is A, out of the sun, and B, away from so anybody can go take it, because you're not there when reception starts. You're in the reception doing dinner, toast, cake cutting, dancing. You can't monitor that stuff. So you got to break it down and set up time throughout the course of that gig to get it broke down. But yeah, my last gig that I had outside, that was it. That was done. It was 98 Feels Like. That's gig log 3. Go check it out. It's on my channel. You can tell in the video, I am beat before the ceremony even starts. I am done skis. You know what I mean? I'm drenched in sweat. I just set up. I am dead. Feels like of 98 degrees was that day. And I almost passed out at the end of that gig. I need to get footage of me almost dying. I don't know. Maybe that will take the channel above 750 subs. Who knows? But yeah, hot. So something that I didn't have in my clause. And I'll tell you what prompted it. Or in my contract, in my clause. It's a clause in my contract now since that May gig. If you're going to book me and I'm outside for reception, not ceremony, my ceremony setup, basically waterproof. I have it figured out because the better part of my ceremonies are going to always be outside, especially in the state of Florida. Even though my June 13th one, thank you, was in a church. That's fantastic. It was AC all day. Best I've ever felt at a gig this year. Anyways, most of my ceremonies are outside. That's weatherproofed. But my reception gear, not weatherproofed. Okay? And I was outside, and thankfully they put me under a tree by accident. But the lady's like, I'm like, in 3 gigs that I had outside for receptions this year, rain was on the list. I want to say it was better than 50% chance of rain in all. Well, okay, the one where I was outside at the beach, I was under the pavilion. I think it was a 0% chance, which was probably even worse because that sun was just beating directly on you all day. That's probably why I almost passed out twice. The wedding planner caught me the first time and sat me down and made sure that I had electrolytes, ice, all that stuff, which I bring with me anyway. So I don't want you to think that I come unprepared. That's not the case. So after my last gig outside, I was like, I'm done. If they want me outside, they have to provide shelter. So now I put a clause in my contract because my last gig, everybody, the dinner, everybody was inside. Underneath an overhang, the only one that was outside was me. And I was pissed. I was not happy. I did the worst part is, had no idea I was outside until I did the venue walkthrough. And because I was booked so late for this event, I didn't do the venue walkthrough until almost about 10 days prior. It might have been a week prior. I was pissed. And here goes the worst case. It was 50% chance of rain. The planner tells me, you need to bring your own overhead cover. Okay, that's fine. So as I'm doing the venue walkthrough, because I have my own pop-up tent, there's a tree right behind me. There's no place to put this pop-up tent. I kid you not. It would have hit the tree. It wouldn't even have been really over me. So now I'm left with setting up my reception setup, and you'll see the logistical challenge that I had to go through if you watch Gig Log 3 all the way through. It was a nightmare, okay? And don't get me wrong, the event ended up being great, except for I lost a light, which was completely recovered because the bride or the groom's mom took care of. Sweet lady. But anyways, just the overall logistical challenge that I chose to bite off as an entertainer, it was just a nightmare. Leaving that gig, I said I'm not doing receptions outside anymore unless they provide cover. And I made sure I went back in and rewrote my contract piece and put a clause in there for that. And that has already lost me a gig this year. I kid you not. So I had a client reach out to me. I want to say through the knot. I can't remember. And they were going to have their wedding at this beautiful property on one of these beaches. Gorgeous place. And the reception was going to be outside. And I made sure that I let them know in the initial meeting. They're like, oh, how do you feel about being outside? I was like, I've DJ'd outside a few times. I'm okay with that. I always bring fans and stuff like that. But I was like, just so that you know, there's a clause in my contract that says if I'm going to be outside, that you have to provide overhead cover for all of my equipment that's in the reception area. That means my lights, my speakers, all that stuff. And they were very hesitant, very hesitant. I've done enough meetings, and not only that, I was an Air Force recruiter for about 4.5 years. So I know the turning point of a sale. I know it. Okay, I've been through too many sales, especially since I've been a DJ now, where I know the turning point of a sale. And there was a turning point right there at that sale. So I try to overcome their concern, but I think that was it for them. And their wedding wasn't for about 15 months, so maybe they come back to me. But I'll tell you what happens to me most of the time, right? Most of the time, we hang up. It's very rare that somebody makes the decision right there in that call. I'm booking with loyalty. But I'm pretty confident. If I get you in a Zoom meeting or in a face-to-face, I got you. Nobody can sell me like me. However, there's the ones that walk away. And after 48 hours, I always tell my clients, if I don't hear anything back from you, I'm going to follow up with you because I don't want to spam them. Anyways, I hit them up, crickets. So usually I do all my calls around a certain time. After that 48 hours is sometime between Thursday and Friday. And then I'll do the follow-up to the follow-up on that following Monday. Follow-up, crickets. Now, my original message went to the groom. During the initial call, I always ask if both of them want to be in the loop. Usually the brides handle most of the details, so I knew that he was probably going to turn me over to his future wife, which is kind of what happened, but they both wanted to be in on the calls. So when I sent the follow-up to the follow-up, I included the spouse. Crickets, and then a few days later, I get something back. Hey, we're still looking at venues, yada, yada, yada. So, and then nothing. And then they come up, there's a deadline that I set that I allow a discount in there if they book me within a deadline. I hit them up on that deadline and crickets. So I could tell that probably one of the biggest changes right there because A, they're already having this on one of their parents' properties because they're trying to save money. It could just be because the property's beautiful. If you check out Gig Log 1 on my channel, that property was the bride's father or dad and mom. Gorgeous property. That was their property. It was beautiful. Their house was on that. But anyways, so every once in a while, it's just a beautiful property. They're like, hey, we want to be able to take full advantage of this and not pay $25,000 for a venue. So they basically have it at their parents' house or a relative's house. So maybe that was the case, but everything that I was seeing, they're trying to save some money and cut costs somewhere, which is fine. But anyways, so 3 gigs this year I've had outside. 2, I've had better than a 50% chance of rain. 1, it actually rained. And not only that, where they placed me was where right next to the the building that we were at, and the runoff for the water was right behind me. So I had to bring those side skirts for my pop-up tent just to keep the water from hitting me or messing with my gear. So terrible. And then the next one, I was just outside dealing with the heat, no chance of rain. And then this one, 50% chance, it ended up clearing up. We got no rain, but because I was outside, it was grueling dealing with the temperatures and dealing with the humidity. So now I've put that clause in there. At least if they give me a shelter, that'll help cut down on some of that beating sun right down on me. But yeah. So I implemented that clause into my contract. I should probably include water into this podcast, but yeah, may have lost me a gig, but definitely a lesson learned from those 3 gigs this year. How to prep for the gig, how to intake water during the gig, which I do, but a food regimen leading up to the gig, lots of potassium, lots of stuff to help keep me hydrated, and then shelter. So, and that's how I avoided a $20,000 disaster from happening, getting rained on, by incorporating this clause, because, you know, I do have insurance, but outside of, I'm not making 10 to 15 grand on each of these. On average, I'm making about $2,000 and hopefully going to be upping that in the future. But on average, that's about what I'm making per gig right now. So yeah, my 2 speakers together, my tops are about $4 grand together. So, crazy. Anyways, that takes me into the next segment, the segment that I like to call the DJ Spotlight segment. Now, my spotlight is going to be Justin, the DJ, this year. I'd have to assume most of you that are previewing this podcast have probably seen his content. He puts out a lot of stuff, even though his YouTube, I ain't seen a lot of stuff on there. I think his last post was like over 2 months ago. But Justin, the DJ, he always has stuff on Facebook that he pops up. I love it. I love watching his videos. Just seems like a great dude. Definitely been out there for a while. I want to say he's over 100,000 subs on YouTube. Shout out to Justin. But he posted something recently, and let's see if I can pull it up. And I had this prepared, but for some reason Facebook reset on me. And he put this on Facebook. Now I'm going to read this verbatim, and then we'll just go over it a little bit. So, a wedding can survive bad food. It can't survive bad entertainment. Some would agree with that. Now, don't get me wrong. Nobody wants bad food at their wedding. But guests rarely talk about the food after the wedding. They talk about the moments, they talk about the people, and they talk about the party. Man, I can't agree with that more. I've worked weddings where the food was incredible, 5-star presentation, amazing menu, everything cooked perfectly, and yet 6 months later, nobody's talking about the dinner. They were talking about how much fun they had. On the flip side, I've seen weddings where the food was average at best, but the dance floor was packed all night. People were singing, dancing, laughing, making memories. And years later, that's what everyone still remembers. Because guests don't remember every detail. They remember how the wedding felt. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying food doesn't matter. It absolutely does. But if I had to choose between incredible food and boring reception, or average food and unforgettable party, I'm choosing the unforgettable party every single time. What do you think? So, just a great topic. You know, Justin the DJ, he puts these great topics on his Facebook feed all the damn time. I love following him, but I couldn't agree more. Now, I've done so many events where I'm a part of the planning process, and we do skimp on the food. That's the reason why you see barbecue at so many damn events, maybe at the low budget ones that I'm doing. But I couldn't agree more. I tell my couple this all the time. You shouldn't skimp on photography or your DJ/entertainment. Here's the reason being. The bride and groom, they're going to remember their wedding because of the photos. All their guests are going to remember their wedding because of me, because of the entertainer. Those are 2 important ways. Food, it's too easy to get average to great food. It's too easy, okay? Great entertainment, super hard. And usually the number one indicator is price. If you want good entertainment, you got to pay to get it, okay? So entertainment, super important. I couldn't agree with him more. Everybody always remembers me. The dinner is just the filler in between there. They remember me. Now, will they remember a bad dinner? Hell yeah. You open up a hamburger slider. I know that shouldn't be at a wedding reception. And there's a cockroach in there. It's getting talked about until the end of time. 100% fact. Okay. But 9 times out of 10, all the return guests to me were like, you were fantastic. You know what I'm saying? They loved it. They loved the vibe that was set. So Justin the DJ, definitely check out his YouTube. I dropped his stuff below. He always poses those interesting topics. I always like seeing a lot of his stuff. It always makes me the wheels start formulating in my head. Like I said, my brain works in some weird ways. But check out Justin the DJ. And he does little mixes and stuff like that, his little transitions and stuff. I mean, I say that like I'm passing off. The dude has some fire. He does some cool stuff, okay? Is he Jay Espinoza or Four Color Zach? Absolutely not. But listen, 99% of weddings don't want to see that. They want to see what Justin's doing it, and he's doing it at a high level. Definitely check him out on all of his socials. I can't stress that enough. All right. And here we come to the end of the podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, over this past week and a half, I dropped my newest video, which is my $5,000 reception rack breakdown. It just shows my journey, right? I've literally just started my entertainment company. For the most part, if you've been watching my videos on Instagram all the way now up to YouTube, then you know where I started from to get where I'm at. I'm constantly always upgrading my equipment. That's my most recent rack now. The reason I don't have one of those wheeled racks is not because I don't want one. It's because I don't have the transportation. I don't have a Sprinter van that costs 48 grand yet, okay? I don't have a trailer because the better part of my gigs are in the city of Tampa, St. Pete, Clearwater, on the beach, and there are no places to park trailers, okay? I would say almost a third of my gigs, I've had to park valet after I load in. And guess what? They don't allow trailers. It's almost always, for some reason, in the venue's restrictions, no DJ trailers. So that's got to be from one place because other DJs are using trailers. But anyways, check out that $5,000 reception rack. The hardest thing to do when you're doing content is admit when you're wrong. And I admit in there something that I got wrong on that rack that you've seen in previous videos. Hopefully I get it right. I'm still testing. It looks like I got it right, the repair, but I would definitely take a look at it if you're a newer DJ. If you're a DJ that's been doing this and you're commanding $7,000, $10,000 and you're just going to shit on the rack, don't watch the video. It's not for you. It's not for you. This is for the ascent, the guys that are, I want to be there someday. That's me. I want to be there someday. I want to be able to walk in and go, loyalty demands 10 grand a wedding. Am I there yet? I'm not there yet. I'm a bottom feeder. I'm a low guy. So check out the video. Like and subscribe that video. But anyways, I appreciate you guys following along with me. 700 subs is nothing to squawk at. Hopefully, our next goal is to hit that 1,000. I'll probably bring it up every time I go over another 100 milestone, but we're almost there to 1,000. So I can't wait to see you on the next one. Here we go.